Hi folks, Peter Lawn here. Welcome to my advanced modding video series for the game Icarus. Today we're going to have a look at how to deal with material shaders in the Unreal Editor so they can be applied to and work on the models in the game. This video is aimed at users who have imported a skeletal mesh successfully into the Unreal Editor, have the models, material shaders, and textures all imported and looking good. But when you cook the files and you try to integrate them into the game, the model did not have any material on it at all, or the materials looked awful in the game. This is primarily due to several reasons. Number one, we need to adjust some settings in UE4 in order for the material shaders to cook and work properly in the game. And I'm going to show you how to do that. The second reason for this is that some models, like the handheld devices, Icarus uses a master materials shader node that we don't have access to, and certain objects in Icarus, such as building objects and handheld skeletal mesh objects, don't respond well to standard materials shader setup. So first off, let's adjust some settings in UE4 that will help us with the Icarus integration. Go to the menu system, click Edit, Project Settings, and in the search bar, type Build. Under the Project Build Configuration section, select Shipping in the dropdown. Clear the search bar by clicking the X here, and then type Share in the search bar. Under the Project Packaging section, uncheck the box for Share Material Shader Code. Just close this window and the settings will be saved. Let's have a look at my current test mod called Pete's_radio test that I already imported and set up. This is a custom handheld that I'm bringing into the game, and under my meshes folder I have my material shader, the skeletal mesh, and the physics assets, and the skeleton file. In the textures folder here I have three textures for this model referenced in the material shader. One is the base color, the other is the normal map, and a third file is called an RMA texture. So what is an RMA file? In physically based rendering systems, or PBR for short, an RMA file is a texture map that combines three different channels of information into one image mask file to optimize memory usage and performance. The RMA letters stand for three texture maps: roughness, metallic, and ambient occlusion, which are baked into a single RMA texture. Icarus uses these special texture maps in the master material shader for the game. I have another tutorial video that shows how to create one of these files using the GIMP software, which I have linked below in the pinned comment. When you import these RMA textures into UE4, make sure under the Details panel you change the compression settings to a mask image, no sRGB. Save the file before exiting. With all the assets in place, let's go to File, Cook Contents for Windows, and let UE4 package our project files. And while this is going on, let's talk about our high-level goal for this project. Although you might have made a material shader to make the model look good, we're going to use one that is in the game to replace it. The shader we built was set up so that the references in the skeletal mesh are pointing to the right name of the shader. We're going to extract a material shader UAsset file from the game for a similar model. Then do some UAsset editing with a utility called Uasset GUI and substitute this file into our mods folder before we pack the files back into the mod. So we're going to use two utilities that you should have in your toolbox at all times. One is called UModel, which allows us to extract assets from the game, and the other is Uasset GUI, which is an editor that allows us to modify cooked Uasset files from the game. I have linked to the download links for these utilities in the comments below. With our files cooked, I'm going to open the UE4 cooked content folder and ensure I have my mods folder open at the same time. You will notice that the same folder structure is required in your mods folder as the folder structure in the UE4. I will navigate to the top level name of my mod and copy the entire folder contents over to my mods folder. I have another video that describes some of the sleuthing that is required to locate the right assets in the game, but I've done the pre-work already and determined that the model I am going to extract for this game is the contact handheld remote that allows players to initiate missions from anywhere in an open world map on the game. I chose this model because it doesn't have any additional glass textures that I need to worry about. I have my plain notepad open here, and with the model and material shader file names and folder locations noted. I'll copy just the trailing name ITM underscore mission underscore radio to the clipboard. I'll open up the U model and select Flat View checkbox, and then paste my object name in the search bar. You can see there are all the files associated with this radio, and I will double click on the SK file to bring up the 3D viewer to verify that it's the right model I'm looking for, which it is. Hit the O key to get back to the search window. I want to extract just the cooked shader Uasset file, so select the M underscore file and right mouse button click to select Save Packages. This will extract the Uasset file to the export folder. Close this window and then get back to the 3D window. Click on Tools, Open Export Folder, and then let's navigate to the location of our files. We know from our research that the files are under the folder structure Game, ASS, ITM, and then Mission underscore Radio. I'll open my own mod folder in Explorer at the same time and locate the Meshes folder. If you look at the extracted files folder, you will see there are actually two files associated with each UAsset. There's the UAsset file itself, and then there's a UEXP file. Both are needed. And what we're going to do is drag and drop them to the meshes folder of my mod. Before we delete our own M underscore shader files, let's highlight the name and use Control C to copy it to the clipboard. Now we delete both files and rename each of the copied files we brought over by highlighting and pasting my old name with Control plus V. With the two files renamed, we'll double-click on the Uasset file to open the Uasset GUI editor. Navigate to the name section on the left here, and in the right window, what we're looking for is to change any reference to the original material shader file and texture files to our newly edited shader and texture names. Let's start by locating the M underscore ITM underscore mission underscore radio at the top here. When I bring my reference notepad in view here, you can see I have set up the file paths and what I need to copy and paste to the Uasset file. So we'll start with the material shader, and we'll copy and paste that in there, and then the three texture files as well. You will need to replace additional references further down the list that are just the file names only. So we'll locate the shader file name and replace it, and then we'll replace the color underscore A and the normal map and the RMA maps as well, names. Once the edits are all changed, hit File, Save, and close the editor. You will also need to make sure that your JSON files are properly set up with the new radio that or the device that you're adding. Of course, there will be an entry, and don't be confused about this file. This is just a script file that I use, but it identifies what needs to be changed. So in the item static JSON, you're going to need to add a record for your handheld device as well. In my case, it's called Pete's Radio Test. We point to a new mesh entry here, which is further down in the file, and then also itemable, which is sort of the description of the handheld. And I think the only thing that I did was I kept this as focusable medical scanners. That's for a handheld device. Actionable is going to be anything that any kind of blueprints that you're going to want to be running. That's further on down. But other than that, you could pretty much copy this from an existing handheld, this section from an existing handheld in the item static file. You're going to need an item template entry from the item template file. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but you need the itemable file or the itemable section. So this is going to be the description of the handheld and some extra descriptive text. And then actionable is what fires what calls the blueprint if you press the left mouse button while you have the radio in your hand. That's these two sections here. Here's our mesh details, meshable. This will be our location for the SK file. And you'll notice in here you have to have the name of the file, dot, and another entry in there. So that's important you follow the same format as other handhelds. And then finally the processor recipes, which tells us where it's going to be crafted, and the materials that's going to be used, as well as what gets outputted, which is our actual handheld, and some audio names and stuff like that. So anyways, you have to have the JSONs all in place in order for that to work. So let's check out the game and see what it looks like. All right, so we packed all our files and copied the pack file into our mods folder, and you can see here I've got it's called Pete's Radio Test Button, and so we're going to just see how this looks inside the game, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got some action with our new handheld device that we're going to use in the game. All right, here we are. You can see that if we go to our crafting menu, that the player crafting, that it's right there, Pete's Radio Remote. I can craft it, and I've got two of them in my inventory now, which is all right. And if we switch over to it and see how it looks pretty decent. So yeah, I can live with that. So that's how you do it, folks. And I hope the video wasn't too long for you, and that you got some information out of it. This pretty much can work for any handheld that you try to design into the game. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them with me. And thanks again for watching, and bye for now.